this is getting quite emotional.
It is.
Wow, but it is an emotional topic.
It is an emotional topic.
Telling a love story is an emotional topic.
I'm ready.
We're ready.
Can I just start off by saying that you look so pretty?
Aw, thank you. I did
so
my
glad
hairs
you're
and
my
I did
wife.
my makeups.
Yeah.
All for this today.
Fabulous.
All for this today. Cheers.
Cheers.
To the doodle. We swap sides. Well, actually, if we need to be, we're going to be totally honest.
My nose looks like skew from this angle.
And you can see my face better on this side.
Yeah.
So there's a reason we swap sides. What we did last time is we looked at color and how color plays such a pivotal role in storytelling and why it's important and why we spend so much time on it. And today we're going to be delving into the editing process and how we build a narrative around an existing story that we know the ending of, which is, an interesting, really interesting topic.
You should actually have started that with previously on.
Previously on.
Like previously on the art of storytelling.
Previously on the art of storytelling.
We went through the process of looking at color.
Link above.
Link above.
Yay.
Okay.
So today we're going on editing and what we do to kind of build a story because, wedding, it sort of tends to follow the same structure. Each wedding has its own little unique nuances and obviously the people have their own personalities, but a wedding in itself, we are there for a single purpose to get two people married because they love one another, right?
Yeah.
So it's up to us to find the story behind the story because we know how it ends, but it's not just about how it ends, it's about the journey.
To make a movie, you have to have a story arc. And what story arc do you actually get in a wedding? Because basically the morning starts with, this is going to be the best day of my life.
And it usually
and
is.
it just
facts.
continues to get better and better and better. So there's no arch, it just goes up.
It's just
So how
the
do
best.
you actually create a engaging story
From that.
while there is no arch?
Okay, I'm going to take you through all my steps that I do, and then maybe, hopefully, we can teach you a little bit about how we do it and how we like to think about stories.
Is this going to be long? Am I sitting back with my
Sit back.
feet on the table?
I don't know
That
if
was-
it's going to be long.
My one foot got
I
stuck.
don't know. So the story narrative to me already starts on the day. That's why it's so important for us to, through our entire process, I think we're quite, invasive to a certain extent, because we send you questionnaires and we want to know how you met and we want to know what's your favorite thing to do and we want to know which music you like. So we ask all these questions and it's quite personal. And I just want to mention this also for everyone sharing their stories with us. It's so meaningful. We ask you
We love it.
really personal questions, and you guys, like our couples, sharing that with us and being so open with sharing their stories with us, it's flippin' super special.
We have a lot of touch points with the clients.
That sounds dirty.
That touch is my love language.
It is your love language. Mine is gifts, by the way, anybody that's interested. And random acts of kindness, actually.
Showing acts of kindness, yes. Okay, we have a lot of
Changes is also weird.
interactions with the clients
Yes.
beforehand. Do you think we would actually be able to deliver the film that you do if you would just pitch up randomly without having any backstory?
I don't think so. And I think it once again comes down to how we get to know our clients throughout this process. And the more you know someone, the deeper you feel the connection with them and them allowing us into their space, into their story. That's what
We really
allows
appreciate
us.
that.
We massively appreciate it. And it's what allows us to deliver what we do. One of the nicest feedbacks I think we've ever gotten from a client was where Lala told us that, they knew we were going to be awesome on the day, but they didn't realize how much of ourselves we were going to actually give to them on their wedding day. And that was one of the most special messages that I've ever received. This is getting quite emotional.
It is.
Wow, but it is an emotional topic.
It is an emotional topic.
Telling a love story is an emotional topic.
Jamie! Jamie! Jamie, my boy! Oh, yes! 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 Jamie! Jamie! Jamie, you know.
All of that feeds into how I even think about your film before I even see the footage, because also it depends on, is the day going very emotional or is it very fun? Are you jumping around? Are you dancing? Because even that determines, are we using more handheld movements on the day? Are we using more gimbal on the day? We start technically thinking about the edit while we are literally on the wedding day. That's really where it starts. So that already gives me an idea. Is this going to be a high energy, really fast paced, crazy wedding where people are doing shots and freaking dancing on tables? Or is this going to be a really more classic love story where we're using very stable camera movement and it's a little bit slower than the other one? That all feeds into the feeling at the end of that. And once again, I feel like I'm gonna repeat this until kingdom come, but it's all about filling the films with emotion, and we do that by telling the story, and we tell the story that is applicable to our couples. With wedding films, it's such a interesting part of filmmaking and actually movie, let's call it, because we like to think we create little short films, and from a technical perspective, it is a short film. You always tell me, I can never remember what is classified as a short film. Is 3 minutes.
Yes,
it's not important.
It's 3 minutes is a.
I think it's
a short
minutes.
film.
Anyway,
yeah, that should be right, but don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it. I might be wrong.
We're right. Okay, we're right.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
So how do we make an engaging movie from something where we know how it ends? Everyone is different, and how you mate and the journey that you've gone through, the little bits and bobs that you put into your wedding day, like having your cat on a coaster, or posters of your dog on the dance floor, or your grandmother's wedding ring. So those are all little special touches that make the wedding you. And our job is to have the ending, the happy ending, but to also really reflect you. And the way that we do that is we go through all the audio on the day. So we go through the vows, we go through the speeches, we go through everything that was said at the ceremony. And then my favorite little piece of audio is the mic that we put on the groom. 99% of the time, my absolute favorite piece of audio comes from right after you get married. One of my favorites, and a lot of their film was built out of that one moment, actually, was Jules and Ollie, where they were Ollie started singing, and it was just such a beautiful moment.
Honey, you take care of me too. I'll take care of you, Jake. One more kiss.
In our previous video, we spoke a lot about how the little moments, become the big moments. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's those little pieces of you that shows up through the wedding day, and that's how we build your story. If we had a camera on the moment and we were recording at the same time, I listen to every single second of it. And it's not like I rush through it, I listen to it. I don't 1.5 speed you, I normal speed you. I listen to every single thing that was said, and then you can start picking out similar topics from the day. So for instance, a lot of people talk about how you met. So let's say you had an interesting story, like for instance, Chelsea and Aries that met on the train in London,
yes,
which was such a chance meeting. That's where I start. So a lot of people talk about, oh, this is how you met. And then you also, for instance, get people that, talk about your relationship as a couple. So what have you done together? So all of those get grouped together. If people talk about your personality, so let's say they talk about the one partner's personality and then the others. So that's how the grouping works. So through all of that, that's where my brain starts going, okay, so these are our main themes for the day. So, and obviously I like, if possible, I do like a little funny moment. It always makes for a good cut going into the party scene.
First thing is timing.
Yes.
How do you figure out the timing without looking at the footage for what would make the emotional impact of having a specific line really drop and go into silence, and then it's time for someone to speak again?
Can I say gut feel?
Gut feel was the answer.
Because
I was hoping that we can give people tips on how to do it, so just follow your gut.
So let the narrative and let the music guide you would be my best advice, and then follow your gut. So in the beginning, when we started editing, you tend to want to rush through things because you always think about, oh, but like, what if people get bored while they're watching this? Or like, what if it's not fast enough? What if it's too slow? Or what if it's not slow enough? I think that's a bit of maybe guts feel and experience that go together to really tell you, as I've gone through my processes and, you know, I've done this quite a few times, your gut just really tells you, and the music and the narrative guides you to know that this is a moment where we need to pause, because there's something to be said about silence as well. You know, often when we watch a movie and there's this part where there's absolute silence, so it's literally, you know, this really intense dialogue, there's no music in the background because it really just it ups the impact of that moment so much. So know when to take a step back and to let the moment breathe. And I think the best way to do that is just by a little bit of practice, and also letting the story, letting the narrative, and letting the music guide you. Another kind of hint that I can give, and it's something that you and I do all the time: read books, watch movies, watch series. Because it's going to give you inspiration. It's going to help you understand how to use comedic timing, how to use your visuals, how to cut your footage together, to understand how to make a narrative work for you, how to make it breathe, how to make it have the most impact. So all of those things, it helps your creative process. And I think for us, it's a massive part of how we do what we do. Building a narrative for a wedding film, for me, it's so important to include the journey, because the wedding day, yes, it is a super important day, but there were so many super important days before this one day, which is the reason why this is happening. And I want your kids and your family and your friends to know why we are here. To me, is a non-negotiable in a wedding film.
Such a big build-up to a wedding as well.
Such a big build-up.
There's so many opportunities to draw inspiration and stories from.
Absolutely. I just really love kind of that build up, and then so that's really where I think the arch comes in, because you have the story, the journey of what they've been through and how we got here. And then from there on, you know, we can talk about the different personalities, like who you are, what you love, and what you are like around other people. That brings you to the rest of the film. We also don't edit chronologically, obviously. Yowzers is a big English word. We don't edit chronologically. And the reason why is, and sorry to anyone out there, and I understand that there are people who does it this way, but to me it's just boring.
I agree, it is boring. There is no arch, because there you kind of just know what's
going to happen next. So I want you guessing. I never want you to know what comes next. And it's really the audio that drives what you see next. You should kind of feel like you're seeing something new every single time you watch it. And that's why we don't edit chronologically. It's because we're building a narrative. We're not showing you just what happened on the day. We're actually building the narrative from your story, from the individual stories, bringing that back to the process. So once I've then listened to every single minute, which, just by the way, guys, it's hours. I love you. I will do it any time, but it takes a long time. So I listen to every single minute, and then we've got these groupings, and that's sort of the first time that I really into the timeline, you know, where the film is actually going to happen. Then I start looking at music. This is the part where we're going to sort of just like skip over, because this is where the music part comes in. So the next step in the process is really to get the music in, which is obviously a super, super important part of the process. And there's a reason we ask our couples, you know, what music do you like? What music do you dislike? And it's not because it puts us in a box. It's because ultimately we're making this for an individual, for a couple. We're not making this for ourselves. We're not making it for anyone else. We're making it so that it's you and that it reflects you as a person. And that is always what's kind of top of mind. Everything reinforces putting you back into that particular moment. So geez, there's actually so many elements. Like when we talk about this, it just kind of blows my own mind to a certain extent. Music goes in. We still don't have any footage on the timeline.
That's insane.
Still don't have any footage on the timeline.
So now you're just looking at audio layers.
Now we're just looking at audio layers. So now we are spacing the story, and this is where it comes in about those groupings that I spoke about earlier. So now I've built the story in my head. So we tell the story about how they met, and then we get to where they met, and then we go into their personalities and, you know, maybe a moment that stood out to them or that stood out to family and friends that they're talking about, something that really shows character. And that's how the story is then built. If it's a really high energetic day, the music won't ever really drop. If it was usually a general wedding day, it has all the emotion. Guys, we're talking happy, we're talking emotional, we're talking absolute craziness, we're talking just mad, happy. Given that usually on a wedding day you go through all these emotions, if I chose one song and just plopped it in there and just threw in some footage, I mean, that is a video, it's not a film.
That's true.
Yeah. It's a video and that's fine, but it's not a film.
It's moving photos.
It's moving photos, and we try and tell stories and we try and make films. So now we've got our narrative, we've got our music, and then after all this is done, then we start thinking about what do we overlay to really give this visual appeal as well. The reason I also do it this way is because everybody is talking about your beautiful smile and how you've got such an engaging personality, and how, or your husband is talking about how he loves the little dimples on your face when you laugh. It would make no sense if I did not show you laughing and your beautiful dimples.
Completely
So
honest truth.
that is really how I also then think about, so what you hear and what you see, they've got to speak to one another, and just adds another layer. You know, the visual appeal and the narrative really speak to one another.
Crazy. So how long does this process take you?
You know what, this is a really hard question, because as with everything in life, sometimes you sit down and it's like everything in life is just aligning today.
It just falls
It
together
just
by
falls
itself.
together. So sometimes it can take me about I think the shortest amount of time, this entire process is probably 3 days, where I choose music and I put it together. That's without visual. So it takes about 3 days just to get choosing the music and making sure the story, you know, there's enough of a story and the story makes sense, and it, you know, it has a nice flow. And then obviously putting the actual film together, shortest amount of time is probably about 2 or 3 days as well. So I think in total about a week, and we are not talking normal.
Then you're going on the faster.
Then I'm going on the faster route, yes.
Yeah.
And we're not talking normal people working hours here. We're talking like 12, 13,
Yeah,
14
unfortunately
hour
we
days.
do have crazy
But
hours,
it
but
doesn't
we love
matter.
it.
We love it.
It's not work if you're actually having fun. And we get to do it together.
We get to do it together.
Not that we work together, but we sit together
We sit together.
with our headphones on.
Yes. And also with noise cancelling on, so that
I
we
do-
often speak to one another and the other person just they don't realize, but that's also okay. That's fine. It's not. It's,
If they really need you, they can touch
They
you.
can
and
touch
like,
you,
Noise
yes.
cancellation off.
yeah, it's like
That's transparency mode.
yes. I think to end off, you know, what we really aim to do is the experience that we give you on your wedding day to us is really important, because guys, we really do feel it really, really deeply, and we connect really deeply with not just you but with your family. Like am going to be speaking to your mom and dad at some point during the day, because I feel like that is your inside kind of guide to who were you and who are you. So I love speaking to the parentals as well. So I think that's the one thing. And then the second thing is that if someone completely random tells us, I feel like I know these people, that's how we know that we've hit the nail on the head. When we evoke enough emotion, and we do that by using your narrative and by telling your story your way, you know. So to us, that is such a big compliment to receive. And I think, you know, in closing, we do that by making sure that we stay authentic to you. We don't have any concept of what your film is going to look like before we meet you, before we film your day, before we get into the editing suite. We get little glimpses into what it's going to look like, but it's all about you being you and giving us the space to enter your world to actually tell this amazing story.
You know what I'm looking forward to? When I get a chance to explain my process.
So guys, in the next 2 sessions, Stefan will have his time to shine. And
Finally,
yay! Are you
I
looking
do
forward
love
to
the
it?
spotlight.
Oh, you do. And
I
I don't
do.
actually, and I feel like I've been hogging the spotlight a lot.
You have a little bit, but you're still giving me a chance, and I appreciate that.
To storytelling.
To storytelling. And
Cheers.
seeing you all on the next episode about
All
music,
about music
and
and
sound
sound.
design.
Looking forward to it. That's a fun one.
That's a fun one.